Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be making a Polytopia tribe tier list. Now, if you watched a few Polytopia videos, you've probably seen a few of these, but because of the new diplomacy update, and there being many new features brought with that update affecting tribes, I think it'll be very interesting to see the new placements. Also, I think people have some common misconceptions with ranking of tribes. For two tribes in particular, I'm going to have some crazy changes in my opinion of where they are on the tier list, and I'll explain to you why they have changed so drastically. Okay, so first up we have IMO. There's not much to say about this, but it really is a very high skill cap thing. Like, I feel like other tribes are more straightforward with what you have to do, but I think IMO is just such a complicated system of what you need to do. Like, you need to have it perfectly planned out to have peace for the first 5 turns, which only works in certain situations. Then you got to spend your tech right. Should you invest in philosophy or not? You need to be thinking very long term to work with IMO. So when I play IMO, I suck. I'm just average. But if you use it to your maximum ability, it can be very awesome. So for that, I'm going to give it a B tier. Okay, Aquarion is literally the worst tribe in the whole game. They literally need to have an update where they redo Aquarion. Every other alien tribe has so much to it, while Aquarion is literally the laziest thing. How come Aquarion is the water tribe, yet they don't have any unique water units that are in the naval section of the skill tree? Shouldn't they have different looking boats or something? Maybe instead of boats, they have a different unit. Why does it have to be replacing chivalry in the riding tech? It's such a low effort tribe and it's so terrible. So for that, I'm gonna give it D tier because it sucks so bad. Barter is insane. Literally the most solid resource tribe ever, and they buffed it recently in the new update. So I would give it second place to S tier if there were other tribes in S tier, but because of the buff putting clear forest in the actual forestry tech instead of free spirit tech, it is going in S tier. Okay, next we have Saimantai, which is just so broken. People always like to say, oh, I win against Saimantai in naval combat, so they're A tier. And I've seen that a few times, but I'm like, no, this is definitely S tier. It is so insane how you can use it. You just need to learn how to use it right. To use it to your full potential, it actually is kind of difficult, but it's really low skill. So much of the units get to explode, and the poison still poisons once the territory is claimed by an enemy tribe. I'll claim a territory by Saimantai, right? And the poison on their land will still poison me. That literally makes no sense. I own the poison. It is literally a part of my capital. That should not poison me. For that, I'm going to give it S tier. Next up, we got is a Lyrion. I'm going to have to give it a solid B tier. It is a higher B tier than IMO. So let's move IMO back. Next up, we got Hudrik, which sucks so bad. It is literally crap. Hudrik is D tier. There's literally no situation where Hudrik would be viable. The only time I think I've gotten away playing Hudrik is when I think I knew that I was going to be on an island, a small island, with another player due to the size of the map and the settings. And so the settings are so oddly specific that I knew arrow spamming him from a few blocks away where he couldn't run anywhere would be super lucrative. So that's the only time it worked. But if you're not sharing an island with someone that's super small and they don't have some sort of counter tribe that could quickly get over and hit your archers, Hudrik sucks, okay? It just does. So next up, we got Imperius. Now, Imperius, I believe, was normally seen as a B tier tribe, but because of the new diplomacy update, it is the #1 tribe used to speedrun diplomacy. Quetzali is very close to diplomacy, but it really isn't necessary to speedrun diplomacy due to daggers not being very valuable early game. But because you're able to upgrade your Imperius capital right away and start with that tech that can branch out in so many different directions, it's very important. So I'm going to move it to an A tier. Next up is Kiku, and Kiku is very insane, and is definitely an S tier, tribe. Now, of course, they are planning to do a naval update. I made a video about that where in a comment section of a random YouTube video with only a few thousand views, the video had the creator of the game, one of the creators, in the comments saying that he would and make a naval update. That's in his priorities. So I could estimate that they will be a naval update coming out. Now I do have some ideas what this update could have. I can imagine there being different boats for different types of units. Like they could be a defender boat, a scout boat with increased range, a catapult boat. Now of course they'd have better names for it, but I'm just naming what they do because you know what the troops that are on land would already do. So you kind of put that into your mind as a boat. Okay, back to what I said. Kiku is an S tier tribe, but it will definitely probably not be S tier for long due to, I could assume, there being more tribes being made for the water part of the game. I could imagine the naval part of the game being hugely revamped with multiple different tribes, new water tribes, starting in different parts of the skill tree. Meaning that Kiku will still be very valid, but it could possibly move down to A tier, I could estimate, if they add new tribes involving water. Right now, Kiku dominates water, with other tribes trailing behind very poorly. It is the only tribe that starts anywhere in the water area. Like, they need to change that. Okay, next up we have Lexador, and I'm actually going to pull up the most popular tribe tier list and show you what it used to be. Okay, so here we have the most popular Polytopia tribe tier list. And as you can see, Barter and Lexador are in S tier. But Lexador got a nerf that no one is paying attention to. Lexador originally started with a city that generated 4 stars per turn with a city wall, but now it only makes 3 stars per turn with no city wall. So in comparison to other resource tribes, Lexador was way better, but now they don't start with a tech, so they're kind of lame. Lexador was great because not only did it allow for defense on the capital, it also allowed, because the capital was already upgraded and made 3 stars a turn, they were able to warrior spam in all different directions. So what I often do whenever I play Lexador is I'll just get 3 explorers and then make them all go in different directions. Maybe 2 of them will find the village and 1 of them will find a rune. That's what I'm probably looking for. And then I'll just upgrade my capital once I get those 3 warriors on the board. And because it's already upgraded and I have those 5 stars to spend on warriors, it's very lucrative. But because it lost the city wall, it definitely loses some of its versatility. It may seem unfair how Lexador is able to level up their capital on the turn 1 without spending any stars, but you also have to keep in mind that they didn't get the tech for free. Like, they're gonna have to buy the tech later on, possibly when it's more expensive due to them having more villages. If they wouldn't have removed the city wall, I would put it in S tier. But because they removed the city wall, it's A tier. Okay, next up, I got Omaji. Now, Omaji is a very solid tribe, but it has some very solid counters. First of all, any warrior basically counters this. Like, unless you're able to make an army that could swoop in and out, then heal itself in the background, if you can't do that, then you're gonna get steamrolled. Tribes like Wenger hard counter tribes like Omaji. And other exploration tribes that don't have to rely on riders absolutely do insane against Omaji. For example, Yadak. Yadak just swoops in out of nowhere with their roads, but they get permanent roads, right? They have better, stronger troops that can do better against things like riders, and they can swoop in just like a rider can. The only buff of the rider being they can hit and then move again, which can be used in certain situations to hit, then move onto a capture village slot. Or maybe hit, then run away and heal. I've seen on tier lists they put Omaji in C tier, but it's not for me. I really think it's a B tier tribe. Now, Kusali got a buff due to it being right next to diplomacy. So that's really cool how they get access to peace treaties right away and also get very close access to backstabbing. Also, early diplomacy isn't really that great as it just costs way too much stars and you barely get many daggers from raiding the low-level cities. It is a better thing to wait later into the game to do, to catch people when they're surprised, like they don't have a certain part of the empire guarded, and you get more daggers from the 8-star value, because not only is 8 stars easier for you to get later in the game, you also get way more daggers in a very hard spot for them to defend. So yes, Quasali did get a very huge buff, but early game diplomacy really isn't that good, so it's not going to move at all on the tier list, maybe like up a little bit, but still, Imperius is way better for speedrunning diplomacy while doing other things. I'm going to give Quetzali B tier, which is actually where it always was, but I think I will have it higher in the B tier compared to last time. I'm not sure. Alright, next up we have Wenger, and Wenger is a very terrible tribe, but it does have a few insane godly moments. Now, you'd expect it to be good in really small, closed-off maps, but it really isn't because it doesn't really do that well against warriors. The offense on Wenger is good, but it isn't as good as some other offensive tribes like other alien tribes. Warrior spam does very well against Wenger because while they're spending 5 stars, which they rarely ever make up because they're trying to speedrun swordsmen early in the game, their opponents are getting millions of little troops, which can easily just throw themselves at the swordsmen and kill them, so it's really not that good. Because of this, I'm going to give it a C tier, yeah. Alright, next is Chinchi, and Chinchi is definitely a B tier. Now, it's pretty good. They're able to stand on mountains. They get the defense from mountains. So if you use that to your advantage and the land is in your favor, that could be very helpful. But other than that, it's like not a resource tribe and it kind of sucks. So, but the land is alright and you get lots of good views standing on the mountains. So you can kind of explore with it. It's solid. I'm going to give it a B tier. Now, Yadak is a very confusing one for me because I am so unsure about this. It is so versatile is what I have to say. Like the versatility. Like normally in general, it's very close between S tier and A tier, but it's so versatile. First of all, let's go over the land. The land is so full of resources. It's like barter, but the reason barter is so high S tier is because they're able to extract those resources right away. But the versatility really makes up for that with Yadak. So what makes Yadak so versatile? Well, first off, they got a very resource-filled land, but of course they can't extract those resources, so you could argue it is an A-tier tribe. But I feel like the versatility on long-term and short-term factors really makes a big difference. Early game, they're able to use the roads to expand massively, and then even late game, those roads will help them bring troops to their locations to fight, which is very important, not including the population given. In terms of naval gameplay, most tribes don't have much stuff that are anywhere close to naval, and you usually have to invest in it separately, as the only tribe that's involved in the naval section is Kiku. But you could say that because Yadak is right next to the customs houses, it is actually one of the best. Naval tribes due to them being able to speedrun custom houses in certain situations. So not only is it solid in battle, it works as an exploration tribe, has very lucrative land, and is pretty good in naval games. That makes it so versatile, and I really do think it deserves a low spot in low S tier. Compared to other tribes where troops are sent out to find villages, it is very fast, and the troops they're sending out are very strong compared to like Omaji's riders. So not only does Yadak get very fast speeds, they get better troops to send to capture these villages other than riders compared to Omaji. They also get permanent roads, which will help them explore now and will help them fight later on. Not including the population given to them, which is also a buff. So because of that, I'm actually going to give it a low S tier. Low S tier, but it is a very close high A tier. Like, it's right around there. Okay, next up we got Zabasi. Zabasi is a very solid tribe because not only does it cost 5 stars instead of 4 stars like other resource tribes to upgrade on turn 1, it is kind of worth it though because you are actually closer to things like construction and you're going to save money long term because you started the game with a tier 2 tech. I would recommend this to anyone who's new to the game if you're planning on buying a tribe. It is definitely one of the most solid tribes in the middle that isn't too complicated but isn't too easy. It's a perfect balance. Okay, next we have Polaris, and there's not much to say about this except there's a lot to say about it. In the original recording, I spoke for about like 7 minutes about Polaris. I don't know why, but I just did. But I'm shorten that a bit, and I'm gonna say the ice archers are insane. Everything else is all right. The price is eventually easy to pay for most of the things. There's not much for getting population that's unique. Ice temples are cool, but they're not really useful. You never really use them. And the most useful thing is definitely the ice archers. And then everything else you kind of just use normally. Because of that, I'm going to give it A tier. Okay, I'm now going to organize everything a little bit. Okay, so here is my final tier list. Now, of course, the B tier is definitely the hardest for me to decide upon because I'm not sure if Kusali deserves to be that high up. And I'm also think IMO could be a way higher B tier. Honestly, I think Quetzali and Imo could switch, but also because Quetzali did get a buff, and you could play it right, use the shields really to your advantage. I guess it's better than. I guess I could say that it works. I don't know. B tier is probably what I least agree on, but everything else I think I've got perfectly. So let's go over S tier. S tier, it has Barter, and of course Barter is just the best resource tribe in the game. That's like a no-brainer. Next we got Kiku, which is the best water tribe in the game. It dominates any water-related map, and it's just insane. Next we got Saimantai, which is the best war tribe in the game. It absolutely wreaks havoc upon your opponents, and it's just the most annoying tribe possible if you just want to kill your opponent. And then Yadak is the most versatile tribe. They've got custom houses for the naval part of the game. They've got roads to the exploration part of the game. And it also works on their population, not including their extremely lucrative land. And they're also really good for combat because they just throw warriors out at the very start of the game and just kill everything in their path. So yeah, definitely low S tier. But that's definitely a lower S tier. It could easily be a higher A tier. That could easily be a high A tier Yadak, but whatever. Polaris isn't extremely powerful because of the freezing mechanic. It's like the second best war tribe, I'd say. Maybe Barter's the second best war tribe. I'm not sure, but whatever. If you disagree with anything in this list, make sure to say something in the comments, and then I'll read your comments and I'll be like, oh wow, maybe I should have done that.